Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy. For Nerds by Nerds. I'm Ted, and today I'm hanging out with
Nathan Nerdarch.
Nerdarchy Ryan.
Nerdarchy Dave.
And today we ask the question, what do you do when you're a stranger in a strange land? Hey guys, jump down in the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter, get weekly RPG tips, as well as learn how to game with us.
All right, so something I noticed while I was on our fantasy cruise down in Cozumel was I was getting called into shops in the little shop corral, and people were trying to get me, enticing me into stores. And when I was in there, they were always ready to haggle, or I felt like the prices were kind of high. And I guess that's by design, so that people that have the money and don't care will just spend it. Oh, whatever, that's the price, sure, whatever. And I'm I don't got that on me.
And they're also giving...
They're sizing people up.
I don't know how you're getting the prices where you're at.
Way too high.
But we're getting, I would get the prices in pesos, too. Or 4 million pesos. It's a steal.
Which is $3.50.
Yeah.
Well, I experienced it. Not only were they, calling you out, recognizing something about you, something you're wearing, and saying that, but they would have no problem coming up and actually physically putting their hand on you to guide you to where they want. It's come, and
culturally it's very different, and kind of reflect how you could do this in your games, because obviously right away they knew we just came off a ship.
Yes.
They knew
fresh off the boat.
They knew we were tourists, right? They knew we looked kind of different than maybe a little paler.
Stood out a little bit.
Yeah. So, and you're absolutely right. It's I was wearing a Metallica shirt, and I kept going, Metallica, hey, Metallica, Master of Puppets. And clearly, they also have a little bit of advantage on you because they speak multiple languages. Mm-hmm. And the way they interact with you is how you're not used to it. In this country, you don't go up to people and just touch them. Mm-hmm. And actually, we don't even really address each other, when we're strangers too much, but culturally it's different there. So that you could bring that right into your game, where depending on the community you're dealing with, I could definitely see a dwarven community be more standoffish. They would definitely, personal space would be a big deal, where another culture where maybe orcs or even halflings, where they might be more touchy, and depending on the actual culture, they might be just more aggressive.
Mm-hmm. Right. And the shopkeep, or the shop owners, whatever you want to refer to them as, they very much were in competition with each other. So they were always talking down to the other ones, oh, he's
don't go
got
to that guy. Yeah.
You don't want to go here. He's got this or he's got that. I give you a good deal, and if there's anything that you show the slightest bit interest in, they're all right, they're right on you. Oh, do you want this? Do you want that? Oh, what can I help you find?
Yeah, they're ready to show you a dozen of the things
around similar to the thing that you're kind of looking at.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing, you should mention that, is when I went and got the ferry ride, there's a bunch of booths for ferries, right? And they're all no, don't go with them. Go with us. We're cheaper. They're all the same price. Don't go with them because our boats are faster. So it all takes the same time.
They have a hole in their hull because I just drilled it.
Yeah. So you could come up with, as the DM, how specific cultures are going, how they normally act, right?
And how they typically tend to address foreigners. I imagine if I went to Germany, there would not nearly be that sort of people out in their stalls and swinging you in, because Germans are known to be kind of clinical and very organized and
reserved.
The price
no sense of humor.
The price is the price and that sort of thing. Whereas you go to a Latin culture and it's more the price is a suggestion. Let's kind of do a deal and come up with what we come up with.
We do have places that are more ethnic in the States, and you will get a little bit of that. Mm. But even our father would shop in Chinatown and places like that, and we go in there and he's he would embarrass us because he would always haggle, and he's you gotta haggle. They won't respect you if you don't. You never pay the price.
I know. And you didn't have a whole lot of experience with that going in, right?
No, I was really totally overwhelmed with the idea of.
Nate's I can't pay less. This is what the price tag says.
That's what I thought, but what had me fight against that urge was that I thought it was a little too expensive. And that's the idea, is that they're trying to go for the highest so that you undercut that, and then you meet someplace. So
art of haggling.
I undercut them pretty hard because I'm inexperienced with haggling. But thankfully, no one kicked me out of their shop or anything. They were very nice about getting undercut pretty hard.
I have a little experience with haggling, and
From a previous life?
yes, no, flea markets and that kind of stuff.
Which I guess would be the closest like American version of that. Yeah.
And it's like, all right, when you're shopping and you see, oh, here's something that I have an interest in, all right, I can't look at a price tag and see because I don't know the conversion rate from pesos to US dollars. So I'm like, well, how much is this? And they give me a price. And if I don't feel that's worth what I want to pay, then I say, okay, well, what about this? And that's where the negotiations, tend to start. And there's a lot of times that, whether it be, in Cozumel or at a yard sale, it's like, all right, I'm just going to walk away. And hopefully I haven't offered a price that's so low that they feel insulted. And, hopefully they're not bothered by whether they got the deal or not.
And as Colby Calstinson said from Last Laurentian, when diplomacy and tact fail, there is always violence. So they could always draw steel.
So the question is, you were kind of inspired by this Cozumel, Mexico experience, but how does it affect us in our games when we're playing, and how is it going to affect our games going forward? So I would recommend for the DMs out there, you should have like this first time experience when you go to new places for your players in mind. You wouldn't want to do it every time because it could be a pain in the ass after a while, but like to give them the kind of experience that they would kind of that is what they go through every time, just because that's the way the culture is, or because, oh, well, clearly you're dressed like an adventurer, so they treat you differently. So you could come up with those for your elven kingdom or your halfling kingdom. Well, all right, halflings don't really have kingdoms. Everybody knows that.
They could. Of course we do, sir. Everyone knows that. Yeah.
Your dwarven kingdom, different human civilizations and kingdoms and stuff like that. But you could kind of come up with a little bit so that it kind of gives like the flavor of the world. When your players go to these new locations, and every once in a while I'd be like, yeah, you always go through that thing, it's just how it is. And maybe as the players live in that area or region more, they start getting better deals, or they learn not to dress like adventurers. They
put on like the common colors or whatever for that region, or the costume of the region, and maybe try to, if you have the actor feat, maybe you can affect the accent of the regions or a mastermind
Put some
as well.
more dirt on your face.
Yeah.
Dress in raggedier clothes, yeah.
But yeah, so your character would learn, as he lives in those areas and experiences those areas, or if he's just been to enough different areas to go, oh well, this is what's going to happen. I just know, or you could even, without doing the whole experience of it, you could have an NPC interaction with your player character where they're warning the players about, this is how it's done, beware of this, watch out for that. And it helps bring more flavor of the world to your campaign.
Yeah, and maybe if you're playing, say, a folk hero character and your mentals aren't the greatest, like maybe you let your character just be utterly bamboozled. But like maybe you do something in a situation where that merchant's in trouble, and you help them, and from now on they give you a better price in the future, and things like that could occur.
Well, that's the other thing too. Like, depending on your character's background, are you a country bumpkin rube who you're gonna go to the big city and they're just gonna take you every time, or is your character kind of a city slicker who is going to be able to negotiate and finagle these things much easier? So like the DM might take that into account as well.
You could think of a noble character if like either they're just used to having money and just spending outrageous sums on things, or they became a noble because they're really thrifty with money and really tight about it. So you could go the opposite extremes as far as that goes as well.
Well, and the other end too could be like the more sophisticated characters going to more of a backwater area where where things just aren't done that way, right? Everything's slowed down. Maybe those people do get offended when you haggle, and there's different rules of hospitality that are followed.
Or maybe like it's really rare that people actually buy things and it's almost entirely a barter system of services and goods.
That was the other thing I was going to say. Like, you go there and you can't actually buy what you're looking for. No, we need you to chop wood all day because your money doesn't. We can't. I can't eat your money. It won't keep my family warm. It's useless to me.
No, if you
Or
had
how
some
about
rabbits,
how about
or-
that dagger or something that you're wearing? I like that. I'll trade you the stuff that you're interested in for
But I want to pay coin. Well, I mean, but that dagger or that sword. But I have coin right here. Well, I mean, that's not gonna really help me out with what I'm trying to do.
Coin's not
here.
going to split a goblin skull.
I can't plant it. I can't cook it. It's
can't eat it.
useless.
And you can show that cultural difference just by in a simple way by just having that kind of interaction where someone walks into a shop and they don't say anything, a greeting or anything like that. And that could be kind of a indication that you're new, that you don't know what to say when you come into past a threshold. So that like something simple right off the bat that'll like put you as a check mark next to the outsider box. And
Right, you could inadvertently do things that are rude.
Yeah, like maybe that's a place where the god of trade is heavily revered. And whenever you go into a merchant shop, there's a certain greeting ascribed to that god of trade that you're supposed to do.
As soon as you walk through the door, you make the sign of the scales or something.
Yeah.
You're like tap a coin bell or something, like ding ding.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what do you guys do in your game? How do you introduce your players to new cultures, and how do they interact with those NPCs? Let us know down in the comments below. I gotta like, share, and subscribe.
You can check us out over on Facebook.
Patronize us in a good way over on Patreon.
And you can find us over on Twitter.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.